So we have all of us here. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all are having an amazing day. I, Architect Mansi Ghavri, take immense pleasure in welcoming you all to the second session of series of webinars dedicated to the process of Chandigarh, carrying forward the legacy of Le Corbusier and Pierre Gendry. These webinars are organized by ACT Chandigarh, Sakar Foundation, and Ultratech Cement to discuss and share knowledge on one of the masterpiece works of Swiss-born architects Le Corbusier and Pierre Gendry, which is our own city, Chandigarh. These programs are supported by Government of India, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Official Swiss Diplomatic Representation in India, Le Corbusier Foundation Paris, IIA Chandigarh and Punjab chapters, FSAI and GEM, and about a dozen architectural schools, universities, and research organizations. India's former Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's decision to entrust Le Corbusier and Pierre Gendry with this huge responsibility not just created a beautiful city, but also gave birth to an Indo-Swiss relationship, which is highly cherished and valued. In order to strengthen the bond and emphasize the involvement of Swiss architects in creating one of the first planned cities of New India, these series of webinars are being hosted to involve the citizens and the other stakeholders in the process of Chandigarh for a sustainable future. In the previous session, we learned about the legacy of master architect and original vision for Chandigarh. Architect Shilpa Das traced the background of the city from its glorious conception to what we see today. Advocate M.L. Sareen shared his personal experience of living and working in the city beautiful. He emphasized the citizens of Chandigarh need to be proactively involved in the development happening in the city. Dr. Philip from Zurich beautifully highlighted the presence of Le Corbusier and his impact on the architecture and urban design throughout the world. Architect Sumit Kaur, who was involved in the preparation of Chandigarh Master Plan 2031, stressed the need to implement it in all its earnestness, in its true essence. Architect Surinder Baga highlighted the various challenges that the city is facing and suggested a few possible solutions for the same. Chandigarh is considered as a role model for city planning in India and has inspired many capital cities around the world. Before we start with the webinar, I would like to share a few key moments in the transformational journey of Chandigarh city. In 1948, it was envisaged to be the capital of post-independence Punjab, which comprised of present-day Punjab, Haryana, and parts of Himachal Pradesh. In 1962, Chandigarh was 70 square kilometers in area, with a 10-mile periphery around it for its sustenance and growth, and was under the direct control of the state. In 1966, under Punjab State Reorganization Act, it was made Union Territory, having capitals of both Punjab and Haryana, and came under the control of central government. The area of now landlocked Chandigarh was fixed at 114 square kilometers, including of only 3.3% of its original periphery under its jurisdiction. In 1984, the post of Chief Commissioner was designated as advisor, and Punjab governor was given the direct administration of the city. In 1994, Municipal Corporation of Chandigarh was created. In 2010, Union Territory Administrators Advisory Council was constituted to bring in public participation in decision making. This council was created to bridge the gap between the administration and the residents of the city. And with today's webinar, we aim to listen to all the stakeholders. Today, we all are gathered to exchange and understand the different viewpoints on functioning of the city beautiful. Every city, however perfect it might be, still faces a lot of issues which need to be addressed with due diligence. Moving towards the proceedings of webinar, we have with us renowned architect S.D. Sharma, who will be giving the inaugural address. As our first speaker today, we have with us Shri Jagdish Sagar, IAS, former advisor to the UT administration, who will be speaking to us about the challenges of administering Chandigarh with the given mandate. As our second speaker, we have Shri R. Srinivas from Government of India, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, who will apprise us on the regional coordination issues of Chandigarh with its neighboring townships. Next, we have Advocate Ajay Jagga, who will be talking about safeguarding the heritage of Chandigarh city. Then Engineer Vinod Vishisht, he will present the viewpoint of resident welfare organizations of the city towards its functioning, along with the ideas to improve our city. Finally, we have Dr. Harbeen, who will summarize the proceedings for today's webinar for all of us. To start with the session, I would like to invite Architect Ramneek Gharyal to give the welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today's event is organized by ACT Chandigarh, Sakar Foundation, Chandigarh. So we welcome today our guest of honor, renowned architect S.D. Sharma sir from Chandigarh, and we are ecstatic to have you here with us today. Warm welcome goes to today's keynote speaker, Mr. Jagdish Sagar, former advisor to Chandigarh administrator. We also welcome our speakers for the day, Mr. R. Srinivas, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, MOHUA from New Delhi, Mr. Ajay Jagga, Advocate from Chandigarh, Engineer Vinod Vashisht, Convener, City Forum of Residents Welfare Organization, CFO-RWO, and Dr. Hareen Bhandari from Chitkara University. We especially welcome architect Mansi Gabri for comparing this webinar, and we are happy to share that nearly 12 architecture students and schools and research organizations are participating in this event, and we welcome their management, faculty, students to this one-of-its-kind event. And in addition to that, we welcome our supporting organizations, Government of India, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, MOHUA, Embassy of Switzerland to India and Bhutan, Consulate General of Switzerland in Mumbai, and Swiss Next India, Consulate General of Switzerland in Bangalore, Le Corbusier Foundation, Paris, Ultratech Cement, Indian Institute of Architects, Chandigarh and Punjab chapters, FSAI, GEM, and ASHRAE Chandigarh chapters. I welcome you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to invite noted architects S.D. Sharma, who had the opportunity to work with Le Corbusier and Pierre Genre both for the inaugural address.
I'm architect Shivda Sharma, who had the opportunity to work with Corbusier and Genre both. As of today, there is no hard rule to save the character and beauty, but for to make the citizens aware as to how vital is this question for Chandigarh. As we understand that Chandigarh without character and beauty will be like an abandoned monument which doesn't attract any visitors. Apart from these two factors, the city has other virtues generated by the unique urbanism created for the good of man. This is the beauty of the master plan, which the master architect did. Le Corbusier himself has explained the uniqueness. I quote Le Corbusier to make it more authentic, saying, "The city is planned to human scale. It puts us close to nature." That is, showing respect for nature and man. This was the greatest contribution of Le Corbusier, which was inbuilt in the master plan. Which further says that it provides us with places and buildings for all human activities such as living, working, care of body and spirit, by which the citizen can live a full and harmonious life. The city was built based on intrinsic values and ideals and vision which can take the future and also has apt solutions required by the contemporary society. I'm counting these factors which amount to build the character and beauty of the city. It further adds into the list the merits of city which is attractive and addictive even after 70 years of its birth. This is because of the inbuilt values in the master plan itself. Le Corbusier once again adds to this list, defining Chandigarh in the Statute of Land of Chandigarh, written in 1959, that Chandigarh is a city offering all amenities of life. It was further simplified in the form of Edicts of Chandigarh, describing how to hold on to such values and save it from the whims of any individual. Corbusier has used sun, space, and greenery and said that these are the ancient influences which have fashioned our body and spirit. Isolated from the natural environments, all organisms will perish, and man is no exception. Through planning, Le Corbusier had built conditions of nature in man's life. That is in Chandigarh, and this is Corbusier's greatest contribution. In our ancient philosophy, 5 elements, that is space, air, water, fire, earth, are considered to be shaping the whole universe and body of the man. But Le Corbusier wisely picked up the 3 which are relevant to contemporary society. This modern city was thus conceived and built now 70 years, has built-in values in the master plan itself, so that the citizen can live a qualitative life. Failing these values, the city will have no merit to mention. Because of such merits, the city has come to be known as City Beautiful. That is how the beauty part of the city is built in. The citizens may ask this question to themselves, that why is the city beautiful? Which are those inbuilt elements which make the city beautiful? And why not efforts be made to preserve this beauty? Particularly, the custodian of the city may know this in depth rather than shun it as a hurdle in the way of development. In this regard, Le Corbusier said, what is proposed and what will be proposed in future, the already proposed realities should never be destroyed by any resolution or decision. He further says that nothing must be thought which brings loss to any single habitant. The teacher and students may be made to know these merits in order to save the character and beauty of the city. I think there should be strict law to punish anyone doing damage to the built property. There are heritage committees, no doubt, but these are unable to do anything. I mean, they are helpless. As the matter comes to their notice of the situation only when the damage is already done. At last of all, we architects of the city must understand the gravity of this question, which can help us in finding the appropriate answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and taking out time to always inspire us with your passion and understanding of the city. Sir rightly said that there is a need to empower Chandigarh's heritage committees in order to make it be what it is. Adding to that, I would like to highlight that the concept of these webinars is the brainchild of architect Shilpa Das at Chandigarh and architect Surinder Baga, Sakar Foundation. Both of the people are highly involved and committed in working towards betterment of the Chandigarh. Chandigarh has been actively organizing Chandigarh Urban Festival to celebrate the city beautiful. The festival promotes an understanding of the city as a community space, encourages urban interaction and bonding, and also participation in the urban issues that may lead to a sustainable development for the Chandigarh region. Shilpa ma'am and Baga sir have contributed considerably towards the city. Moving with our webinar, as our keynote speaker today, we have with us Shri Jagdish Sagar ji, IAS, a truly remarkable personality. Shri Jagdish Sagar has served in many prominent positions in the Indian Administrative Services. Sir obtained his law degree after his retirement from Delhi University in 2006 and has been practicing as a lawyer in Delhi High Court, specializing in copyright law. I would now invite Shri Jagdish Sagar ji, former advisor to the UT Administrator, Chandigarh, to talk about the challenges in administration of the city with its given mandate and share his ideas for improvement. Being the advisor of the UT Administrator of Chandigarh, he has been at the helm of affairs in the city administration. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I think there was something to broadcast that I was supposed to click, or is it okay?
It is okay, sir. You can start with your presentation.
Okay. Well, I'm flattered, really, to be invited a quarter of a century after I left Chandigarh. To try to tell you anything at all about it. I'm sure the city is very different now. But in any case, and if I tell you anything, it'll be outdated, I suspect. However, it's a pleasure, and I'll learn as much as I'll be able to say listening to the other speakers. When I arrived in Delhi, in Chandigarh, I beg your pardon, it was in the position of advisor to administrator, right after having been principal secretary UD in the government of Delhi. So it was a great relief to come to a place where people were generally content with civic services and they weren't necessarily hostile to the officers responsible for them. It was a relief. One of the very first things that I was exposed to, and I think all of my predecessors must have been, was a session on the master plan of Delhi. Really sorry, the master plan of Chandigarh. Well, this was certainly a work of art. It was ubiquitous on the walls. It was even on the drain hole covers, the manhole covers. But it was a work of art. It was also seductive, and I was seduced with the ideas of inward-looking sectors, of roads, of market roads at the southern end of each sector, making a continuous road joining one to the next, all on one side of the road, vehicles parked on the other side of the road, none of the hustle and bustle associated with Indian markets. The whole place, the inward-looking sectors gave you that a certain feeling as you drove around the city of a sort of cold beauty. It was so neat, it was so well kept, and there was, and you didn't have the hustle and bustle. Perhaps you should have. You didn't have the hustle and bustle of Indian towns and cities. It was unique. There was also the great Capitol area. Iconic is a tired word, but it fits here. This was an iconic complex. The buildings, the Secretariat, the open hand monument, the pit of contemplation, all of that. It was wonderful. It had become a pilgrimage a place of pilgrimage for architects in particular, and it had done a great deal to influence the whole profession of Indian architecture. I think that the profession of architecture really got going in India. There had not been much of it in pre-independence India. It really took wing because of the work that Le Corbusier did at Chandigarh. There was also a great deal of heritage in the form of historical memory about Chandigarh. Its creation was an adventure at the time when it was done. Even technically, the engineers had to learn some of the things about how to build a building like the Punjab Secretariat. The whole history of the loss of Lahore to Chandigarh, the need to create a new capital, Pandit Nehru's vision of what it should be, his stress that we must not look to the past. A particular phrase, we can't build Gothic cathedrals for railway stations. We have to look forward. We cannot look at things as they used to be. The engagement of Le Corbusier, no less. And the way it was done, a couple of officers went to Europe and they came back with him. All of this was a dramatic history as well. It was a dramatic story. Added to this, the whole different features and nature of Chandigarh, how it differed from every other city, not merely in being clean and green, but in the whole conception. All of this gave the place a certain mystique. And the Chandigarh administration at the time saw its role mainly as preserving that mystique, preserving that mysterious something that Chandigarh had. I used to call it sometimes a designer city, but in any case, it was a brand and a unique one with no imitators. Now, one consequence of this and the whole structure, let's have a quick look at the structure of Chandigarh. It's being gone over a bit. In 1966, it became, and I think it had barely been built by then, still very new, may not have been complete. In 1966, Chandigarh became the capital of 2 states. Neither of those states had any formal administrative control over Chandigarh. It was a union territory reporting directly to the Home Ministry in Delhi. The administrator at that time, administrator is a term under the Constitution for the head of the administration of any union territory. The administrator at that time was called the Chief Commissioner. A couple of decades later, after the Longowal Accord, the governor of Punjab became the administrator. Nothing much changed, nevertheless, because one is the governor was there in his personal capacity. He remained the governor of Punjab. It was not possible or feasible for the administration to weigh in either direction, Punjab or Haryana. It was the capital of both states. It had to treat them both alike. The mere fact that the administrator formally happened to be the governor of Punjab made no difference. The administration, in a way, lacked any guidance except what was in the Edict of Chandigarh, the statutes of the land, and master plan itself. There was, to be sure, a Punjab Capital Development and Regulation Act, but it wasn't like something like the DDA Act or the Noida Act. there was no such a distinct statutory body to set up and manage the city, like the Delhi Development Authority, or in other places, like Ghaziabad Development Authority. All kinds of such authorities exist now. Chandigarh was not like that. The Capital of Punjab Regulation and Development Act provided a framework in the sense of being an enabling provision. But what ran the city was really, at that stage, what the administration thought should be running the city was basically the Corbusier's plan and his writings. It was not tightly linked up with any detailed statutory guidelines as in other planned cities, as in Delhi for sure. Now, this implied a certain amount of freedom to the administration in its day-to-day decisions. It was also not susceptible to political decision-making except when it came from the central government. But it also constrained the administration. There was no scope at all for any profound new thought, and many people didn't want it. There really was no scope for any basic thinking. It was mainly preserve it as it is, fight against change, even if it's a losing battle, and sort of coast along on all this hype, the phrase I used in something I wrote at the time, and all this hype of the city beautiful. Now, I'm saying none of this to denigrate Chandigarh or denigrate the fact that it was beautiful and unique, but the fact remains that it had already, when I was there, ceased to be the city that it had been planned to be. Le Corbusier had said something about a governed city with a precise goal and consequently a precise quality of inhabitants. That didn't happen. The city was already much bigger than it had been planned to be. It was about, despite that 10-mile moat around it, it was still that 10-mile green moat. It was still a growing city. It had a population of about 8 lakhs at that time. Must be much more now. It had the master plan, the original master plan of the first 30 sectors in the capital area was really now theoretical, or it was a core, it was a concept, something that people loved. But for all that, it was at best the center of a much wider conglomerate. There was Panchkula, built by Haryana. There was Mohali, built by Punjab. The system of sectors extended way downwards into Mohali, which was certainly not compatible with the original conception. Besides that, as in every other city, there was a population of homeless people. Homeless in the sense that they had to construct their own homes illegally where they could find the space in juglis. Now, these were about a fifth of the population of Chandigarh at that time, and that was about what they were and probably still are in most Indian cities. These people were not popular with the middle class residents. They were considered to be a sort of blot in a way on the city, although they were needed. Their work was necessary. They performed functions and provided services that the city needed. Now, this was also not a unique phenomenon to Chandigarh. As I said, all cities in India and all cities in most of the developing world were like that. But in Chandigarh, I think they were particularly regarded by many as incongruous. I remember being quoted, and correctly quoted, in the magazine India Today as saying, "The homeless live and work among us, you can't treat them like vermin." And astonishingly, there were people who took offense at that, thought I'd said something out of turn. Astonishingly. But that is a problem which Chandigarh never accounted for. Those words that I've quoted of Le Corbusier, they never really cover that. In the absence of political leadership, there was no way of changing the paradigm. Chandigarh will continue to be planned and preserved in the way, or to the best extent that the administration thought it could be. It was probably a losing battle at all times, but it was one being fought. There's another aspect to this. Why was Chandigarh so dear to people? There were certainly people who appreciated the historical context, appreciated the innovativeness of the building, appreciated what a pioneering state, what a pioneering venture the whole city was. There were people plenty who appreciated that. But I think a lot of people simply liked Chandigarh because it was clean and green and spacious. There were people who didn't really see the difference between Chandigarh and, say, Lutyens' Delhi. In fact, I met a person who actually said that Chandigarh is beautiful, it's just like Lutyens' Delhi. I said, don't you see any differences? And she couldn't point out any, but in fact, they were completely different things, completely different animals. You can't compare them. Chandigarh, in my opinion, was, as conceived, something much more impressive. Now, bylaws were obeyed much better than I think in most Indian cities, certainly the ones I have seen or worked in. The bylaws were adhered to pretty well. They were enforced pretty well, because I think substantially because there was a wide understanding and a wide commitment to keeping Chandigarh clean, safe, green, everything else that it was, and for those who were enthusiasts for its planning, also keeping it the great design that it was. Now, another factor, though, I'm sure, is that conversion from residential to commercial didn't take place because the planners had left so much space for future commercial development. Now, toward the end, nevertheless, it is not really the case that Chandigarh was popular because of its great architecture, its innovative planning, any of that. People who came to Chandigarh were probably as interested in seeing Nek Chand's rock garden, which is a great thing, probably more interested in seeing that, probably found it more accessible than the features of Chandigarh that architects might describe and try to focus on. Toward the end of my stay in Chandigarh, we had a very large conference at the instance of Charles Correa, a galaxy of eminent speakers from all over the world, including India, of course, architects, planners, writers on architecture. One thing that came across to me at that time is that there were a lot of people who thought that the thinking behind Chandigarh had moved on. Now, instead of that cool beauty that I spoke of, they wanted a lively urban environment. They wanted what they call urbanity. I never quite understood the term, but it seemed to me, and you see the vivid, lively interaction that a city ought to provide people. And there is something in that, undoubtedly, and that may be something Chandigarh lacked. But when Charles Correa spoke of Chandigarh as a Parda city, he praised the buildings, but he spoke of the planning as making it a Parda city, all those roads looking inwards, nothing facing the roads. He created a furor. Enormous number of people, even the media, attacked this as an insult to their beloved city of Chandigarh. Yet, there was something in that. At the same time, these people who are now teaching a different approach to urban planning, they're talking about this interacting environment in which people led a richer life called urbanity. They too were really trying to dictate to us how we should live, as Le Corbusier had done in his time. No cities actually follow the plan, in my opinion. There may be parts of cities, there may be great cities with spectacular parts of the city, but the whole city as a whole has seldom come up or seldom exists according to a pre-planned concept. Paris is supposed to be a great city, but what about the banlieue, which is actually as important as the city itself to its life? Now, these changing fashions in urbanity have not left Chandigarh behind for the simple reason that I mentioned, that Chandigarh is not necessarily, its people are not necessarily devoted to what the architects, the people who were involved in the original plan, some of them are still with us, thank God, see it as. For all these reasons, I think there is a lesson to be learned, two lessons to be learned from Chandigarh. One is that, as Le Corbusier said, when he visited a housing development which he had designed a couple of decades earlier, and he was shown what the present inhabitants had done to it, all the changes they had made. Those unique, neat facades had been changed completely. And what did he say? He said, life is right and the architect wrong. That is true of Chandigarh, in my opinion, as much as great as it is, as much as any other place. It should be preserved as heritage. The capital area, it disturbed me that the Punjab and Haryana governments thought nothing of blazing in the terrace front facade of it. They thought nothing of this. There were no takers for the idea of completing the Corbusier's project and building something, if not a governor's palace. People responded adversely at the time to the term palace. He meant the French word palais. But build something there to complete the conception of that capital area. There were no takers for the idea. During that conference, I'm happy and proud to say that we did manage to put up a mock-up just of the outline of the building to give an idea of how the capital area would actually have been spaced out. This missing gap was filled for about a week, and then no more. Finally, I would suggest that in future, Chandigarh is something of the past because it won't happen again. And one of the reasons is that we are more democratic, I hope so, than we used to be in those days. And people in future will complain if something is not participative. A prime minister with the kind of power that Jawaharlal Nehru had, the kind of authority rather that he had, might do something quite different that people will see quite differently in future. So Chandigarh was one of a kind. It won't happen again, yet it should be preserved, at least parts of it should be preserved as a heritage, something great that was created in great circumstances with great vision at the time when it was made. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your insights are very relevant in the present scenario as well. Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience from being on the forefront of the city administration and highlighting the need of public involvement in successfully administering a city like Chandigarh. Moving forward for the next session, I would like to invite Shri R. Srinivas. He has been heading the Metropolitan and Union Territories Division in Town and Country Planning Organization, Government of India, and is responsible for rendering technical advice and assistance on various issues pertaining to planning and development of Delhi NCR and Chandigarh. Sir has attended every meeting of the High-Powered Committee for Regional Coordination since 1996. Sir will apprise us about the issues of regional coordination of Chandigarh with the states of Punjab and Haryana. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Ghapri.
Over to you, sir.
Respected Sharma ji, respected Jagdish Sagar ji, Surinder Bhaga ji, Shilpa ji, other distinguished panelists and participants. It gives me a great pleasure to be amongst you and make the presentation on issues of regional coordination of Chandigarh with Punjab and Haryana. In fact, in the previous session, the planned development of Chandigarh has been discussed at length, and in fact, the vision of Le Corbusier has also been, mentioned by Sharma. But as an urban planner, we have to see that the planned development issues of Chandigarh should not be discussed in isolation. We have to take into consideration the surrounding settlements and what has been the impact of the overall development on the surrounding towns. Everybody knows Chandigarh has got a very limited area. Geographical expanse is only 114 square kilometer. It's not going to expand. Rather, the surrounding settlements will have to share the burden on infrastructure pressure, which is going to be felt in Chandigarh as the population has already crossed a million plus. We don't know by 2021 how much will the population. Perhaps it may touch 1.5 million. So not only the 1.5 million and the stress on infrastructure will have to be, we will have to really plan in the regional perspective. Now, let me tell you about the coordination committee, which was constituted way back in 1975. The main objective was to guide and channelize the growth of Chandigarh and the urban centers coming up in its neighborhood. And kindly see the composition, especially, I mean, I don't know the youngsters whether they are aware of this committee, but all the old timers, they are very well aware. In fact, Sagar Saab also used to attend when he was advisor to the administrator. The composition of the committee is given below. I mean, you can see Secretary, Ministry of the then Ministry of Works and Housing was and is the chairman of the present ministry is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Then we had the member general officer commanding to corps, chief commissioner, I mean advisor to administrator is member, chief secretary, chief Punjab and Haryana, and advisor state plans, the then planning commission. Now, kindly see the terms of reference of coordination committee, which were framed way back in 1970s. Now, if you see the terms of reference, they are absolutely relevant in present context also. One of the terms of reference was to study the development plans of Chandigarh, Mohali and Panchkula township and suggest projects for coordinated development of region. Then to assess the impact of development programs already implemented and those being implemented in the two townships on the development of region as a whole, and to suggest remedial measures to be taken by state governments and union territory, and to prepare an outright regional plan for Chandigarh and the urban areas falling within its zone of influence. This was very well thought. I mean, the concept of very well thought in the early 75, and that's why one of the terms of reference was enunciated in this, to prepare the outright regional plan for Chandigarh. Now, this was prepared in early 1990s. This was Interstate Regional Plan 2001, and the Interstate Regional Plan 2001 was prepared by Town and City Planning Organization, my organization only. And you kindly see, I mean, now we don't have the digital map. In fact, there has to be a digital version of the interstate region. But you could see the, the delineation. You can see the, the Chandigarh, Panchkula, and Mohali, and the surrounding settlements, including like Dela Bassi, Lalru, Kharar, Chunis, Kuruli. So these are all settlements were identified based on the, the demographic profile at that time, and also what potential they are offered, for future development. So this was very well, thought process in the regional plan, wherein the role of different settlements was clearly envisaged. Now, coordination committee meeting, since it's a, I mean, the committee, I mean, it's not a statutory committee, rather the committee was constituted out of an, executive order. So till now, 27 meetings have been held since the constitution, and the first meeting was held in 16 September 1975. The last meeting was held, that was 27th meeting, was held on 9th June 2016. Since then, the committee has not met, and the matters pertaining to regional issues, appears to be kept in abeyance, because now there has been no opportunity to discuss with the participating states, especially the Punjab and Haryana and Union Territory. Now, let me 2 or 3 slides. Let me explain about the the Interstate Regional Plan 2001. And this was prepared, what I told, this was prepared by TCP in 1984 based on the outcome of 4th Coordination Committee meeting held on 22nd May 79, which was clearly, the committee clearly recommended we must prepare a regional plan. So the committee also felt that there was a need for structuring a regional plan for Chandigarh interstate region and to give a statutory shape to the exercise. And a working group was constituted in 81 under the chairmanship of the then chief planner, Town and City Planning Organization, for its formulation. And in fact, an interim report of the Chandigarh Interstate Regional Plan prepared by the working group was presented in the 7th Coordination Committee meeting held on 1st March 1983. In this meeting, a broad consensus was arrived on the adoption of the regional plan, which has to form the basis of preparation of more detailed regional plan by the respective state government and UT of Chandigarh. Now, salient features was you can see the total area was around 2,421.3 square kilometer with an average radius of about 32 kilometer from core of Chandigarh. That is Chandigarh UT plus Chandigarh urban complex plus 16 kilometer radius periphery control area and some portions beyond 60 kilometer radius in Punjab, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh. In fact, some areas were also covered in Himachal Pradesh. So broadly, the interstate regional plan, covered the following, aspects: the delineation, the socio-economic status, settlement pattern, regional problems, growth potentials, regional development policy control, regional development strategy, development action programs, priorities, and financial outlay. And the overall policy framework, stressed on the integrated and coordinated development in the entire region and recommended policies pertaining to industrial development, rural development, trade and commerce, decentralization of government and semi-government offices from Chandigarh. I mean, just see, in the National Capital Region Plan, 2001 also, there is one policy called decentralizing the central government offices from Delhi. In fact, before that, Chandigarh interstate regional plan, it was very well thought. Then conservation of environment and ecology, and of course, housing was also one of the important, policy. Now, the plan clearly came out with the settlement hierarchy, wherein, I mean, you can see first to seventh order. I mean, which you can start, with Chandigarh urban complex, then regional towns, the sub-regional towns, the growth centers. So these are all, the hierarchy of settlement was drawn, as I earlier mentioned, was drawn on certain parameters. Essentially, you have to see the development potential, what sort of economic activities they offer, what is the economic base of the small and medium towns, and because they are all located in the rich hinterland of Chandigarh region. I mean, now also, I mean, you can see they are all located in the rich fertile belt. You can see that the statement which I have made, Interstate Regional Plan 2001 was advisory in nature. The plan was not implemented as there was no enabling provision for notification and implementation of regional plan. Hence, the plan was a non-starter. It could not get implemented. Now, through various meetings, discussions, I mean, kept on going that we need to have interstate regional plan, we need to have interstate regional plan. Professor Ribeiro, who was our, chief town planner, town and city planning organization, under his guidance, there was another attempt to prepare an interstate metropolitan region plan. That was, in fact, the scope was even bigger than the very first interstate regional plan. And in the 14th meeting, Professor Ribeiro had, made a presentation to the coordination committee and highlighted the need for preparing a plan in the metropolitan context. I mean, this was, in 2011 census, the Chandigarh had already crossed, million mark. So naturally, there was a thinking that we should, plan the region in a metropolitan context. The presentation was made, lot of discussions took place, but there was no further follow-up in the matter subsequent to 14th meeting of the coordination committee. That was very unfortunate. I mean, from 15, 16, 17 onwards, I mean, there was no mention of the CISMR, that is Chandigarh Interstate Metropolitan Region Plan. Now, the plan highlighted the, the proposed development in 6 layers, and the total area was around 5,702 square kilometers. That means it's a huge area. You can see, I mean, layer 1, phase 1, phase 2. I mean, from sector 1 to 30, then phase 2, sector 31 to 47. Then layer 4, a Chandigarh metropolitan complex, which was essentially outside layer 1 to 3 in lieu of the 70-75 Chandigarh urban complex outside Chandigarh UT in Punjab and Haryana. Then we had layer 5 as a 16 kilometer peripheral control board in Haryana and Punjab outside layer 1 and 4. Then we had layer 6 comprising of radius of 50 kilometer beyond layer 1 and 2, which included 10 tehsils, 4 in Punjab, 3 in Haryana, and 3 in Himachal Pradesh. Now, what was the reason? Even the first plan, what I mentioned, was advisory. The second plan was more of a, the presentation was made, discussions took place, but no concrete action, no follow-up was done. So perhaps what could be the reason why the first master plan could not get notified? You kindly see, I have highlighted the 4 acts. One is NCR Planning Board Act. Another is Punjab Regional and Town Planning and Development Act, Punjab New Capital Periphery Control Act, and the New Capital of Punjab Development and Regulation Act. Now, if you see, the third and fourth column, Punjab New Capital Periphery Control Act and Punjab New Capital of Punjab Development and Regulation Act, there is no provision for preparing the preparing the regional plan, that too interstate regional plan. But if you see NCR Planning Board Act, you can straight away see that Chapter 4, provides for preparation of regional plan, undertaking surveys and studies, whereas Chapter 5 provides for preparation of functional plans, regional plans, and project plans. You see, in fact, one must compliment, Punjab Regional and Town Planning and Development has the provision of preparing a regional plan. But even if there is a provision for preparing a regional plan, that will be restricted to all within the Punjab. There is no, of course, the Punjab, the state or TNCP Act will have the provision for preparing plan within the state. So here, the critical question is that if you want to make interstate regional plan a reality, do we really have interstate regional plan for Chandigarh Act on the lines of NCR Planning Board Act? That's a big question. We should really deliberate on a professional platform. Now, what was the decisions in the last meeting, which was held on 9th June 2016? Both Punjab and Haryana were of the opinion that the coordination committee should not be given more power, but should continue its advisory role. Now, there was a lot of discussions were taking during the 25th, 26th, 27th that the coordination committee should get more power. Say if coordination committee gets power, in fact, it can think of having a interstate regional plan act, but both the states were not at all, they were saying that the committee should continue its advisory role. Both the states claim that they have ensured plan development in their respective areas. So the moment they say, then indirectly it means that there is no need for preparing an interstate regional plan. Now, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs also took a view that the respective states and UT may attempt to prepare the regional plan for Chandigarh. And in fact, we have got the minutes of each and every meeting. If somebody wants, we can always share the minutes. So that was in the last meeting. It was clearly decided that the respective states and UT should sit together and make the effort for preparing a regional plan. As of now, no efforts are being made to revive the concept of regional plan for Chandigarh, because we haven't got any communication from either the Union Territory of Chandigarh or the participating 2 states. Now, in fact, from my side, at least from the town and city planning side, we have been giving inputs to Chandigarh UT administration, and in fact, one of the even we made a proposal. Rather, we would like to make a proposal that Chandigarh should have an interstate regional plan for 2015, and the broad terms of reference should be a fresh look should be taken in order to delineate the interstate region, Chandigarh region, and assess the development pattern, and assess the physical based demographic pattern, settlement pattern, and availability of physical and social infrastructure. I think there has been a massive transformation in past 20 years. The way Mohali, Zirakpur, Panchkula, Mansa Devi, the way, I mean, the construction activities have taken place. I mean, you can see, from Ambala and Chandigarh, if you see on both sides of roads, there has been a huge amount of construction. Then you need to, identify appropriate policy zones based on the predominant economic activities and potential in the region and sub-region. And of course, to recommend the, strategies for sustainable development based on the population projections, and to develop policy guidelines for decentralization of economic activities. I mean, in next 10 to 20 years, further transformation will take place. And in fact, Chandigarh itself may emerge as a potential IT, I mean, it can be a hub of both IT as well as educational, activities. And yes, if at all, if we want to make effort towards the plan 2051, we need to suggest appropriate institutional mechanism for coordination among the concerned state and Chandigarh UT. This is from my, I mean, it's my personal view. In fact, more, I can say the ambitious, the view for preparing the 2051 ISCR plan. Now, what could be the possibilities? Is it, I mean, from my side, I mean, from a technical point of view or professional point of view, we are always there to assess the Chandigarh UT administration. Can we really revive the interstate regional plan? Is it possible that Punjab, Haryana, and Chandigarh, I mean, of course, they must have fit, I mean, they must have discussed, but is there any possibility to evolve consensus and for an integrated development? Ultimately, Chandigarh, region should also emerge as a rich economic zone with tremendous, potential it has. In fact, after the NCR, it should be the interstate in the North India. The next, common economic zone should be interstate Chandigarh region. Of course, I mean, during 1990s to 2010s, we got lot of writ petitions we had received. In fact, there were around 18 writ petitions. Essentially, the object of the petitions were to pressurize the not only the central government but also union territory to go for planned development in the peripheral control area. Based on our experience, what we feel that legal recourse will not give any solution. Rather, both strong political and bureaucratic will can provide the workable solution. I mean, if somebody goes for writ petition, then again, constitutionally speaking, the interstate subject again it will come within the domain of state state functions. And if at all we are going to revive the role of coordination committee, it will solely depend on the initiatives taken by the states and UT. I mean, they have to be proactive and they have to show much interest for the planned development in the regional perspective. So with this, I conclude my presentation. And once again, I thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation. I hope there will be a large number of questions. Hopefully, I mean, I will be able to answer if you have certain curiosities or certain questions. Definitely, I'll be very glad to reply your answers. Thank you so much. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation and shedding the light on the Regional Coordination Committee and its role. Thank you for highlighting its role in trying to maintain the alliance with the peripheral cities and making the Tri-City area develop in accordance with the original vision of Chandigarh. The long gap since the last meeting in 2016 to present definitely has left the issues pertaining to the regional planning in abeyance. I would like to ask you, sir, we being the residents of this beautiful city, what role can we play to make the committee meet often and do something concrete?
No, I mentioned in my presentation that we need to revive. I don't know. I mean, because from government side, giving assurance becomes a little bit difficult. But what I mentioned, we have to. I mean, I don't know. Some representation has to go to our ministry, wherein I mean it has to involve the Chandigarh UT administration. I mean, a representation may be sent to Chandigarh UT administration as well as Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Then only we can revive the coordination committee. Because for past 6 years there is no meeting. That is very unfortunate. But it is from Act Chandigarh or Sakar Foundation together. If they sit and then write to UT administration as well as our ministry, I think definitely we will be able to revive the role of coordination committee.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Moving to our third session, I would like to invite Advocate Ajay Jagga. He has been actively involved in safeguarding the heritage of Chandigarh since 2009, raising his voice in national and international levels to protect the heritage of the city and its planners. I request him to kindly share his views on the importance of safeguarding the heritage of Chandigarh. Over to you, sir.
Friends, I must compliment the organizers who have organized this wonderful conference with regard to such a topic, which is virtually one of the most important topic in every generation, because we are going to talk about the heritage. Heritage, when I go to the etymology of the word, I reach the word called inheritance. So that means whatever I inherit, that becomes my heritage. Now the thing is that this heritage has to be transferred from generation to generation and for all generations to come. That's how we have been carrying our earlier inherited items also. So now I am talking about Chandigarh. Chandigarh is certainly one of the finest cities in the world. And now since we are talking heritage, I'll take a few seconds to describe what it is, what heritage I am going to talk about. The heritage practically is of two types, that is movable as well as immovable. The immovable is the one which is to be discussed and talked about the technical people like architects, engineers, consultant, town planners, etc., etc. But my subject is limited to precisely the movable heritage. Now, what's movable heritage? Movable heritage are those items which were created and designed at the time when the city was being built. Now, what are those items? Those items are like heritage furniture, heritage tapestries, heritage manholes, heritage concrete light fixtures, heritage foot lamps, all these kind of such, whatever was designed during those days. That is our movable heritage. And nobody was knowing what it is and what was its value until in 2005, I came across a news item in one of the English dailies saying that one manhole designed by the Corbusier is sold and auctioned in London for 10.87 lakhs Indian currency. It was shocking, and I started following all these kind of sales which are coming and started looking at what everything is being sold all over the world. Then I also tried to find out what is the value of these items which we sold in our city. So I came to know this property, that is manhole, was sold as a scrap at a meager amount of rupees 300. Now I was amazed, and this was an eye opener for me, that how come a 300 rupees item has been sold for approximately 11 lakhs in London. So that means a huge loss of not only foreign exchange, but as well as our heritage as well. So that gave me more and more, idea to look into this issue of heritage as to why this is being sold, why this is being happening all over the world. And this kept on happening almost till 2010 and 11, when nothing I found helping me out, because the auctions were going most of the places, UK, USA, and in the entire Europe. So I filed a PIL in this Punjab Haryana High Court, and that litigation known as PIL went for a couple of hearings. Then finally the administration gave an assurance that they are going to retain this heritage and they are going to make inventory of the entire thing. So rest assured, nothing is going to be lost in times to come. So that's how that PIL ended with a note that yes, now everybody is aware of it and we are going to keep in a proper inventory and proper designs we are going to make. Now, inventory process started also, and then suddenly during this period, like in the beginning of the 2011, rather 22nd of February 2011, the Ministry of Home Affairs called me and just asked a brief line about this the topic. And then I got an order from the files from the archives, which was issued in 2011 by the MHA. That's the prohibitory order. It is saying that no item designed by genre and Corbusier can be disposed of by any of the government or private bodies, and no item will go out of India. So the disposal within India and export outside India both were banned by this marvelous order of the Ministry of Home Affairs, and that was the lone order of the government from which I got a ray of hope that yes, soon we are going to save it. Now, precisely when somebody talks about heritage, it comes only two names in the mind. That's Mon-Lee Corbusier and Pierre Genre. And with regard to as to what is the duty of the citizen and what is the duty of the state, I go to the Constitution of India. It says the state is also under a constitutional mandate that they are supposed to protect the heritage and preserve the heritage. But not only this, even Article 51 of the Constitution has imposed a duty on the citizens as well, that they are equally responsible to ensuring the safety of their heritage or cultural things or the past traditional items. So both are equally responsible and both should work together. When this constitutional issue came out, then also we tried to push this issue right up to the Government of India level, that this is the mandate and we have to save it up. Then in 2015, I think a French delegation came and they also showed a lot of interest and they also told certain how to protect the things. But the day the delegation went back, another couple of businessmen from France came and they gave some kind of a proposal of, buying certain items of the scrap, which they said that it is going to be waste here and we are going to preserve it and protect it. So probably, I'm not 100% sure, but probably some items were given to them that everybody thought that instead of selling it as a scrap, why not to, save in such a manner so that somebody can preserve it. And that's how certain things were probably sold at that time. Then we came in 2016, when a new advisor, Mr. Vijay Dev, joined Chandigarh, and we explained him the entire situation that these items are being sold, and earlier they were being sold in UK, US, and Europe, but now it has spread. It has gone to New Zealand, it has gone to Australia, it has gone even to countries like Israel. So when we told him, he showed a lots of interest and he came and he visited spots where we showed him that this is how the heritage is being, lying on the roads. So, but he was quite keen and he immediately offered, he says, in order to protect the heritage, the government needs to have first of all, a proper committee or kind of a thing which can keep on discussing these issues regularly and the issues are not neglected. So he created a heritage item protection cell of the Chandigarh administration under the main Chandigarh Heritage Conservation Committee, CHCC. So that's how this HIPC came into existence in 2016. And thereafter, we had a couple of meetings and then we had a change in the advisor. Then Shri Parimal Rai came. And at that point of time, I got a call from the Tughlakabad Custom Office and they called me and told me that, look, some of the items which we feel that they probably are of Chandigarh are here. And since you are connected with this process, because your name is appearing, if you go to Google and Chandigarh Heritage, your name is there. So many articles with pictures are there. So if you want to protect it, take whatever action you can within 7 days, or otherwise we will release the goods. So we immediately told the then advisor that this is the case and we want an emergency meeting was held at 9:30 in the morning, and immediately a police team was sent to Delhi who visited there. But then they also told that their hurdle is that the custom people are saying that there must be certain technical people to come and certify that yes, this is heritage, it belongs to Chandigarh. So then another administration was extremely helpful, and the next day the team of police as well as the technical people went to Delhi, the Tughlakabad complex, and they identified that these items are, yes, these items are heritage items. And then after certification, FIR was registered by Chandigarh police in a very cordial manner with the HIPC. And then thereafter the items were also brought from Delhi to Chandigarh, which are now lying here. And further, in order to establish that these are those items which are really heritage items, the Chandigarh administration was kind enough to send those samples to Forest Research Institute to get the quality of the wood, and those reports were also very helpful. So the government has been doing its task very well. And then after 2018, when this whole thing happened, we went over to 2019. 2019 witnessed an amazing thing where, first of all, one international auction was held in Mumbai of this Chandigarh heritage items. Though all other items were also there, but Chandigarh items were also there, and they were sold over here. Then that made us to push the things very fast and in a much harder way, explaining all the areas in the government of India as well as the administration that look, now we have reached where items are likely to be sold in India, so they must take action. Immediately, the government took action and they started further finding out what are the inventories and what is further courses to be done. Thereafter, in that time, advisor Shri Parmal Rai went and current advisor Shri Manoj Parida joined. And when he had that first meeting, he immediately stood and he immediately said, this is an extremely important issue and it has to be headed by something like advisor to give more teeth and power to the HIPC. So a new order was made where the advisor is now the chairman of this heritage item protection cell. And we had a couple of meetings where we've taken the issues like how do we go forward. And once this thing came, then in 2020, the Custom Commissioner of India also issued orders keeping in view the representations and the actions of the government. He has issued a categorical instruction at the seaports and custom ports that look, none of the items should go beyond the boundaries of India. So now there is another order for the disposal and export of these items outside India. So I think these two orders are enough orders. But now I have come across another very important thing is that we are having a symbol called open hand symbol. Open hand symbol is probably nobody bothered. And now I have just come across wine kind of a thing, cider, apple cider is being manufactured in Canada, where the name and picture of open hand is available on the bottles of that cider. We have immediately written to the government as well as the governor also that this open hand symbol is also our intellectual property and we must preserve and protect it. And in 2020, at the end of the year, another very important thing has come. A French delegation has come to Chandigarh, and the honorable governor was kind enough to discuss all these issues with the French delegation also. I was also told to give my inputs to the delegation. I also met the delegation. We met for a couple of hours and I explained the whole thing process to the French delegation and asked them to have an Indo-French delegation kind of a thing to make it protection. So this whole journey, after this whole journey, I come to the current status and the problems which we are going to face right now. The thing is that our edict says that where it says the Corbusier has written that the tree of Chandigarh through the seeds has been well sown. Now it is for the resident to see that the tree flourishes and is saved from the whims and fancies of the certain individuals. So the residents are under an equal responsibility to ensure that they keep on taking these issues to save the Chandigarh from the whims and fancies of the people. Now the last and most important thing is what are the hurdles that we are getting in getting all kind of a framework done. That hurdle is that there is a called Antiques and Art Treasures Act 1872, which is applicable to these items. And whenever somebody goes, it sees an item called antiquity means which is 100 years old. And they come back, even Archaeological Survey of India, who's a member of our cell, they say, since this is less than 100 years, how can we take it to antiquity? Now I had given them two legal framework. One is that this is an intellectual property. We must have the design protection as well as the copyright of these items. So nobody can develop and create such items and nobody can sell these items. And secondly, I have also told them that after making this, we must make our claims on all these items that yes, this is our intellectual property and we have all the intentions to save these items and ensure that the next generation is going to get this heritage passed from we. And I will not allow these items to go beyond a particular time. So I think this will help me in spreading this message also, that this is inherited by us from our previous generation, and now we have to pass it on to the next generations. But if we and the other governments get together with the people, I'm sure we'll be able to save it. And thank you very much to all of you for giving such a patient hearing, and I hope this will go a long way in ensuring that we are able to save our heritage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative session and being an active and prominent voice in saving the legacy of Chandigarh. Also for highlighting the need of safeguarding the heritage, and also stating that it is a constitutional duty of all. I would like to ask you, sir, how can we stop theft or selling of genres design furniture in international market? As you explained, can you just briefly give us the pointers of what is the process if one wants to get involved?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Can you just precisely repeat your question once in a brief?
Yes, sir. Sir, you just explained the process that you followed while safeguarding the furniture and at the customs. I just want you to enlist them or elaborate them briefly so that we just know by step what is the procedure that is followed to stop the theft and selling of genres design furniture. That is our heritage.
No, first of all, I have just met the Minister of State for Commerce, and I told him that the Chandigarh administration must get in touch with the Ministry of Commerce. They have a very important IP department, intellectual property department, and first of all, we must make our claims with regard to all the items with their pictures. Administration has a very beautiful catalog, and we can just take these items to the Ministry of Commerce, tell them that we want the design protection as well as the copyright of these items for all over the world, so that the issue of even making duplicate items and enjoying the the legacy of Corbusier by selling it at very high prices, first of all, this has to be taken to the registered as intellectual property of the administration. Second is that we also must ensure that these orders which given by the MHA as well as the Custom Commissioner of India are properly circulated to all those who are concerned, like Archaeological Survey of India, Ministry of Home Affairs, Chandigarh administration. And one more very important thing is that these auctions are happening all over the world regularly. We are in April, and 6th auction of 2021 is going to take place on 16th of April. We have already lost few crores. But the only thing is that now when I raise the issues, I ensure that I also mark a copy to all the High Commission. For example, it was UK, it was marked to the UK High Commission. UK High Commission, they responded us back. France also responded back. Most of the countries responded back, but now we have reached at a stage where they say that, see, if you want to go beyond further, please ask your government to get in touch with the foreign country governments through their diplomatic channels or their ambassador, so that we can have a detailed inquiry as to how these items reached in those auction houses when they are categorically banned by the government of India. Once that steps comes in, I think all governments are very cooperative. Even United Nations is working very hard on the cultural trafficking issue, and India is one of the signatories on the resolution which asks all states, I mean the countries, that if you find any heritage item of any country, you please return the same to the other country. Even when our honorable Prime Minister was away to, I think, United States of America, the government of America has given certain statues and idols to our premier as a gesture that this is their property and they must take it. So I must say that apart from the legal framework, we must have a further framework with our diplomatic channels through which we can get in touch with the foreign government so that they can track how the items are reached over there. So primarily these are the issues, and last is that we must meet very, very, very often on these issues. And one of the suggestion I had given to the French delegation was that we must have Indo-French heritage protection kind of a forum where we can exchange all the issues, on instantly almost, which we are able to do it right now.
Thank you so much, sir. Now moving to our next session. Now I welcome Engineer Vinod Vashisht, convener, City Forum of Residents Welfare Organization and founder president, Government Houses Residential Welfare Society. He comes with the perfect blend of over 35 years of experience in semicon industry, academics, skill building, indirect taxation, and social work at national and international levels. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, friends of Chandigarh, and thanks organizer of this webinar series on Chandigarh for inviting me to this conversation. So myself, Vinod Vashisht, convener, City Forum of Resident Welfare Organization Chandigarh, will be conversing on present day functioning of Chandigarh. Now let's see what are the main current contemporary issues concerning Chandigarh. First, as we just now have seen that over years, Chandigarh has seen many changes, mainly on geopolitical environment. Its area has changed. Its openness to further expansion has stopped because now Haryana and Punjab are being a separate from being a union territory, so it cannot expand, and different political parties are coming and going. Earlier it was headed by a big state, now it is just simple a union territory governed by a central government. So it has seen many changes, and there is a lack in clear-cut policy vision, effective functioning of the Chandigarh, and how we can retain, preserve the unique character of City Beautiful. Next, many times we see that elected representatives of Chandigarh, they have failed to deliver to residents' expectations. This is evident from their lack of ownership, from their good connect with the local people, from their absence of good connect with the local issues, or their dynamism, or they don't have a much say in the national matters. Probably this may have also be a case because the number in democracy, number matters. Now we have only one MP to speak for Chandigarh. Earlier we had many MPs, not only from Chandigarh, but Punjab and Haryana as well. So because of this, many issues of importance, they have been suffering because due to lack of interest of our elected representatives. For example, we have a big mess of street vendors in Chandigarh. People sometimes say that why don't we change the name of Chandigarh to Fadigarh? Similarly, City Beautiful is having much problem on solid waste management also. On one time it was second in Swachhta rating, now it is gone down to 16 in national rating. So there are a lot of issues in solid waste management processing, on segregation and all other issues which are pending for a couple of years. Now, again, we have some water supply related issues, water supply, distribution related issues, then environmental production, maybe it is a Sukhna Lake, or maybe it is our air quality index. So we are having issues concerning environment as well. And because of the continued urbanization of Chandigarh, we have entered into issues like parking, like lack of housing, and we have a lot of traffic and mobility problems. We don't have a public transportation system which is very sound, and probably in near future we need that also. Apart from this, residents keep on getting the burden of taxes over taxes. Most of the revenue for the last few years is being managed by Chandigarh administration by way of burdening residents with taxes, levies, or cesses instead of they get the budget from the central government. Next, we can see definitely it is evident that if we observe the budgets of Chandigarh for the last decade, 10 years, there is a continuous decrease in the growth in budgets, and for the last 3 years, the budget has been on decline. We are unable to get the budget which we used to get even 2017-18. So cities allocation in union budget is dropping, and our elected representatives are not able to take care that they get their due. And most of the time we see that Chandigarh is into a firefighting mode rather than it should be a development mode. Present administrative structure of Chandigarh has rendered it to as a no one baby. There is no person who has the complete ownership. The administrative, the executive, they keep on coming, they keep on going, they get transfers, and we don't have a permanent person which can take care of Chandigarh issues. Even we don't have a good people who are coming forward to come into Chandigarh's electoral or democracy or some resident welfare or corporation, or they are not inclined to join. So this has hampered the development of Chandigarh in a big way. Effective policy making and compliance is also not there in Chandigarh. Sometimes it happens that we are making policy after we have made bylaws or after we have made rules. Rather, it should be the other way. First, one should come with the policy. We have seen this happening for the solid waste management. We have seen this happening for the parking problems. It took almost 3 years to arrive at a parking policy. Same was the case for solid waste policy. So it has to be prepared, and then after preparing, one has to totally in toto it should be complied with. Same is the case for example, we have a Chandigarh master plan 2031. If we have made it, one should stick to it, and it should be act as a Bible. It is a separate discussion whether it also needs some further modification or further whether it should also be again put to some public suggestion or not. So this has happened that our policy making is suffering a lot. There are many examples, as I said, solid waste management. Then on public transportation also we are not clear. It happened in Tribune flyover where stakeholders were not involved at all, and it was the Punjab and Haryana High Court which came into picture, and it came into the benefit for the citizens, and then a public forum was invited. Same is the case for many environmental issues where NGT, National Green Tribunal, comes in, then only Chandigarh administration or Chandigarh corporation or people of Chandigarh start working for it. Another example is the recent electrical privatization. None of the stakeholders, whether it is a power corporation employees, whether it is a Chandigarh residents, or whether the state of Punjab and Haryana, because they also have a stake in Chandigarh being the capital of both the states, they were discussed or involved in deciding whether electricity is to be privatized or not. This is also evident in many smart city projects. Maybe it is a 24/7 water supply, or whether it is getting a loan from a foreign country or making resources from internal only. Then how the tri-city issues to be addressed with, because we have twin cities to Chandigarh, Mohali and Panchkula, and like national capital region Delhi, Chandigarh should also be developed on the same pattern. Similarly, we have a administrative advisory council, but we see that it is not playing the role it should be playing. Many of their members are just a political appointees. Their meetings are happening just for the sake of having a meeting. No, there is no carry forwarding of minutes, action points of the previous meeting to the next meeting, and persons with right experience, with right ideas they are not involved or invited. So it also needs to be further improved with. And mostly in Chandigarh, if you see that it is the Punjab and Haryana High Court or their RWS, Resident Welfare Association, which are playing an active part. People in Chandigarh these days, they trust more their RWs than their councillors. So this is a very sorry state of affairs. So it needs to be improved. Few takeaways and recommendation how we can proceed further or what can be done in the future. First, we have Governor of Punjab, who is ex officio administrator of Chandigarh. This was done in 1984. Probably it was required at that time because we had some disturbances in Punjab and northern region in 1984, and Chandigarh was given under the governor of Punjab at that time. Now situation has changed, and for better functioning, better efficiency, it needs to be improved. Governor in India is a very sacrosanct post, very holy post, and we cannot expect our governor making rounds of Delhi or ministers or member of parliaments for getting issues solved for Chandigarh. It is not, we should not expect, and it someone else has to do it. Or so I believe that the post of there is no the governor being administrator of Chandigarh is not much effective, and it needs to be reviewed. So we can dispense with the ex officio role of Punjab governor as administrator, and we can propose a different model for better administration of Chandigarh. It can be, instead of an advisory council under Punjab governor, it can be an advisory council under Union Home Minister. So we should go for this change, because Chandigarh being union territory directly comes under Home Ministry. So there should be an advisory council which directly reports to the Home Minister of India, and rather he should be chairman of the meetings of advisory council, and member of parliament of Chandigarh, he or she should be the co-chairman, and advisor of Chandigarh should act as a convener for these meetings. We should also enlarge role of our municipal corporation of Chandigarh. Still, I see it has a limited role, limited budget, and more subjects. Its jurisdiction should be enlarged. And the term of mayor, there should be a direct election for mayor, and it should be for the full term, so that people get more representation, and they better know what are the issues at ground level, and those can be solved more easily. Next, we have many heritage sites in Chandigarh. Maybe it is a capital complex, maybe it is a Punjab and Haryana Secretariat, maybe it is a Assembly Palace, maybe it is a open hand monument, or maybe some Sector 22 or Sector 7, like these some areas. And these need to be preserved with sufficient budgets. We can explore, can we do the same arrangement like we are doing it for Taj Mahal of India? Taj Mahal of India is being maintained directly by maybe Ministry of Tourism or maybe Ministry of Archaeology. So one can see whether these sites of Chandigarh, which have come on international map, can they be directly managed so that we don't have any big budget issues, and these can be better maintained. Next, whatever model we follow in future, it should be a persons responsible for Chandigarh should be from people's representative, so that the thoughts, the ideas of people get transform into the better being of the Chandigarh. With this, I thank all of you for taking your time, and I also again thank the organizers. And at end of the session, I will be open for any question and answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. Your suggestions to create a more workable democratic administrative model for Chandigarh city is indeed most pertinent. Adding to that, I would like to ask you, sir, how can the residents unite for the betterment of the city?
As I propose that whatever new model we have, it should be resident centric. As I said, advisory council. So Chandigarh is a home for so many intellectuals. It is the state capital of not only of Punjab, of Haryana as well. We have a military Western Command headquarters. We have a very near Himachal Bhaddi area. We have a Punjab University Excellence or Academic Excellence Center. We have a PGI. So there is no dearth of persons, residents in Chandigarh who can contribute to the well-being of the Chandigarh, and they are willing also, but we have to present them some certain model so that they can come forward and join them. Yeah.
Surely, sir. I would request everyone to kindly switch on their video so that we could start with the question answer round as well. Firstly, I would like to ask Srinivas, sir, do you see the possibility of political consensus through bureaucratic efforts for regional coordination?
It's a quite difficult question to answer. But see, the first and foremost is to be seen from the welfare of Chandigarh citizens. I will keep on telling that Chandigarh cannot survive without the surrounding areas, without the surrounding settlements. So there has to be a sort of a arrangement, wherein you need to have a seamless kind of integration with the other towns. So yes, of course, a strong political will. I mean, whenever the politicians, when they go into the elections, they will always talk about the welfare of the citizens. So why not, when elections are held, and why not, especially for the Chandigarh constituency, why not Chandigarh Regional Time become one of the agenda? It should be rather included in the election manifesto. It's not only Chandigarh. I will keep on telling Chandigarh and the surrounding settlements. So it depends on the political will and also the bureaucratic will. And from the central government point of view, I don't think there will be any hindrance or any constraint. Even for that matter, any financial assistance is there. I mean, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is almost. I mean, they are funding so many, missions, Amrit Mission, Swachh Bharat, and Smart City Mission. So from Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, there should not be any problem, provided the two participating states and UT sit together, discuss the things proactively, and come up with the proposal to the central government. There should not be any problem.
So there needs to be a coordination between the three things: the central part, both the state parts, is what you're saying.
Yes. But again, you need to, what I will say. I mean, those who are legal experts, we call town planning as a state subject. In fact, the regional planning is a state subject. So let us see how best we can do. From central government point of view, there will not be any problem. We will always be proactive, but it depends on the initiatives to be taken by the two states and UT.
And if I ask the same question to you, Mr. Sagar, do you see the possibility of political consensus through bureaucratic efforts for regional coordination? What would be your opinion on this? Sir, we cannot hear you. Can you please turn on your mic?
Unmute.
Where is that? Where the heck is that?
So your voice is audible now.
Now you're
audible now.
Yes.
Okay. When I was there, actually, I called meetings with the chief secretaries of Punjab and Haryana and said, let's get started thinking about how to integrate these cities, because Panchkula, in fact, in those days, was almost cut off from Chandigarh. There was just one little road. We had to improve on that. But back in the 90s, it was difficult to cross. There was a traffic jam. Might be the only one in the area between Chandigarh and Panchkula. This is an example of how we haven't integrated or thought conclusively. Chandigarh is going to build Punjab is going to build what it wants to build, Haryana what it wants to build. I got a negative reaction, very negative. Then we did engage Frederick Rivero and his team to make some sort of conceptual plan for the area, for the region. And they did that, but I don't know if it ever saw the light of day again. I'm very happy to learn that now at least something is being thought about this. I mean, it's post facto, unfortunately, it always is. We try to set things right after they've happened, but at least that's better than nothing.
Okay. Another question again for you, Sagar sir. What forms of effective people's participation in a union territory are possible today?
Well, the government has made it very difficult. Even Delhi, which has a special status among union territories,
yes, sir.
The people's participation through the assembly is being taken away. Union territories are really the fiefdom of the central government. It wasn't an acute problem in Chandigarh when I was there, because I think people by and large were content with things as they were. Now I imagine as problems have grown, the old civic infrastructure must be wearing out, the population is increased, there's more issues about coordination with other areas. In this kind of situation, I'm sure there's much more need for some kind of a setup. And a nominated advisory body isn't really the thing. It worked for decades. It was still perfectly okay in the 1990s, but I think now you need something. You need some sort of local elected body. You do need
elected body.
But is there any kind of like any other urban union territory which is actually making some arrangements with the government for better functioning, or some role model union territories that we could look towards?
The union territories are each so different. I was in the union territories cadre, remember, I spent a career in it. They're each so different that I don't think you can look for a common role model. Think of Delhi, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep. Think of these places and Chandigarh, what sort of common role, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman. So I don't think you can find a common role model, but I think it would have to be case to case. In Delhi, they had a good system, which now is being ruined or being anyway taken away. In Chandigarh, I think Chandigarh is a developed enough kind of place to require some sort of local elected body. It needs it.
I think I am being a very aggressive while asking you this, sir, Srinivas sir. There is no coordination between both the peripheral cities with Chandigarh, as we've been discussing over the sessions. By ministry is not taking any solid measures or taking steps to make this thing actually happen.
My answer is very simple. It will depend on the initiatives of Punjab, Haryana, and Chandigarh. Ministry is not going to intervene until they say. Now, let me tell you, just give me 1 minute. When you are asking about the citizen participation in other union territories, you see Chandigarh need to have an independent town and country planning act. Other union territories they have. Puducherry we have TNCP Act. Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman Diu we have. In fact, now of course UP, Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh. Ladakh is going to draft their own town and country planning act. Now the time has come. Those the old acts which were enacted way back in 1950s. Now we need to have a comprehensive town and country planning act. We need to have provision for interstate regional plan. If it is done, I think it is possible. Then you will see if this act is enacted, and that too I think maybe through central legislation. Then you will see a lot of role of central government. I don't know if the Chandigarh citizens, those who have got the legal background, have they really thought of, I'm not sure, or for that matter, even I will request Sumit Kaur madam, she has been the chief architect of urban planning department, union territory of Chandigarh. So maybe we can also request Kapil Sethia ji, he can give a thought on that. I think the time has come, because we always compare with other union territories and they are doing quite well in terms of preparing the master plans also. Now Chandigarh, of course, I remember, to get Chandigarh notification, I really worked hard to get the approval of Ministry of, Home Affairs. I was there when in 2016, I think it was the draft notification was prepared in Ministry of Home Affairs only. Then we sat there, the Joint Secretary, Union Territories, he called us and we drafted and we gave the concurrence. Ministry of Home Affairs gave the concurrence to notify the Chandigarh master plan. And now the time has come. I think we should go for the GIS based master plan. Chandigarh, I think definitely they must be doing. And hopefully in coming years, let us see how we can be proactive towards, regional issues of Chandigarh.
I would like to ask Shilpa ma'am, for the last few years, you've been organizing Chandigarh Urban Festival. What is the role that festival is actually playing, and how do you see that how successful this role is being carried by that festival?
Thank you, Mansi. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So CUF, Chandigarh Urban Festival, is a city unifier event. What is happening today as a society? We are more into individual achievements, self-sufficiency, small families, wanting to do everything alone. But at the same time, we know that togetherness is strength, togetherness is joy, togetherness is fun. We take more responsibility for each other, for the weaker parts of the society if we are together, for the environment. Democracy works better. So togetherness is the attempt behind this Chandigarh Urban Festival. And some people may say it's a naive attempt, but since it comes from inside of each one of us, we are sure that this movement is going to only grow forward. Now, this is an evolving methodology. This event has been growing organically. We learn from whatever we do the first year, and we have been moving. And in 3 years, we completed 3 years just a few days back, and we have organized 3 city celebrations, which is celebrating, getting to know each other, bringing together a popular culture of the city. And then we are organizing neighborhood initiatives where cohesive neighborhoods, like Sagar sir said, that the urbanity, the interaction that is missing. So this is an effort towards that. And what we are doing right now, talking about the city for a sustainable future. So this is what we are doing, and we are getting just tremendous response. The only way is forward and together. And why not? In a beautiful city like Chandigarh, if people come together, then sky is the limit. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree, as Vishresh sir said, that involving the residents and letting them know, uniting them is the best way to move forward. So Chandigarh Festival is actually doing that, Urban Festival. Moving to Baga sir, I would like to ask sir if you would like to add something to today's webinar or today's discussion.
Thank you, Mansi. I think this is a wonderful idea. The original idea was Shilpa Madam's, and I just supported it. And this is the first time that on a forum, senior bureaucrats are speaking, senior government officials are speaking, architects are speaking, advocates are speaking, and the public representatives like Vinodji is speaking, and some experts like Sumit Kaur and many other people are. And in the next session, we are going to have some prominent members of parliament. This is the unique experience. I think if it goes like this, I'm seeing a bright future for Chandigarh. Thank you so much.
I hope that will help us save the legacy and preserve our heritage. Now, let's move to the next session. Thank you for the question answer round. Now, moving to our next session, I would like to invite Dr. Harveen Bhandari, Deputy Dean, Chitkara School of Planning and Architecture, Chitkara University, Punjab, for the concluding remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mansi. I hope I'm audible. Am
Yes,
I
ma'am,
audible?
you're audible. Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Thank you. I'm extremely happy to be a part of this webinar series, and I'm thankful to CHANDIGARH Foundation for this opportunity. Warm greetings to all the listeners. We are almost on the last lap of the second webinar of the tri-webinar series on carrying forward the legacy of Corbusier and Pierre-Andre. Today's deliberations were very significant, and it was clearly reinstated that a collaborative effort would be more effective in taking forward the long-standing issues of Chandigarh. Today's session, as I also said, was one of its kind, first public discussion that has happened between all the stakeholders who can contribute to the betterment of the city beauty. Undoubtedly, Chandigarh, the dream city of India's first Prime Minister, Shri Jawaharlal Nehru, is known as one of the best experiments in urban planning and modern architecture in the 20th century in India. But today it needs attention. For all architects, students, and other professionals who have logged in today might be unaware, I would like to give a quick recap, a brief note on the transformational journey of Chandigarh city. Creation of Chandigarh dates back to the partition of India in 1947, when birth of India and Pakistan took place. The newly formed state of East Punjab, which became part of India, needed a new capital. A number of dates that were very important in our history. March 1948, the government approved the site for the new capital. 1952, the foundation stone for the city was laid. In 1966, the city assumed the unique distinction of being the capital city of both Punjab and Haryana and was declared a union territory. 1984, the post of Chief Commissioner was redesignated as advisor and Punjab Governor was the direct administration. Also important is 1994, when Municipal Corporation of Chandigarh was created. The city being the capital of two states and holding the status of union territory experienced a major change in its functioning, which created an ever-widening gap between the public and the administration and possibly a major reason for its problems. Over the years, the problems in the functioning of Chandigarh have increased many folds, which we all have experienced and I think have shared today. So these tri-series webinars is a noteworthy attempt to bring forward the views of the government and the residents forward for the betterment. Chandigarh was originally planned as a safe city, safe from fast traffic, in easy reach of all needs of material, mental and moral sustenance. This was the life dreamt for 5 lakh inhabitants that will reside the city in 2 distinct phases of development. But the city in the recent past has started showing signs of enormous stress due to ever-increasing population pressure and faces problems like traffic and parking, the proliferation of slums and squatter settlements. The root cause of Chandigarh's problems has been that its planning and development has not been in tandem with the states of Punjab and Haryana that border it and make it the Tri-City. The webinar today has helped in raising some pertinent questions concerning the city, which need to be thought about. Is regional coordination crucial for the sustainable future of the Chandigarh region? Would a chief commissioner for the UT be more effective in taking forward the long-standing issues? Can boundaries be actually imposed on a living and a growing city? Further, the speakers today also deliberated on the statutory procedures required to boost planned growth and development within the city. Noted eminent architect S.D. Sharma opened the session today with an exhaustive introduction to Corbusier's philosophy behind the city planning and has made a passionate appeal to all to collaborate and save the character and beauty of this world-renowned city. He also mentioned that a better framework was needed to achieve this aim. The heritage committees that exist in the city solely cannot take this forward. It needs a wider participation. Former advisor to the UT administration, Mr. Jagdish Sagar, shared his experiences on the challenges of administering Chandigarh under the given mandate. He pointed out that the city of Chandigarh, even during his tenure, was very far off from what it was envisioned to be or envisioned by Corbusier and Pandit Nehru. Planner R. Srinivas from Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, New Delhi, joined us today and explained the ministry's viewpoint about regional coordination. He shared that 27 meetings so far have been held since the inception of this coordination committee in 1975. The last meeting was held in 2016, and sadly after that, no meeting has been held so far. He concluded Chandigarh needs to be seen from a regional perspective to solve its miscellaneous issues. Bringing in the voice of the residents of the city, Engineer Vinod Vashisht, convener, City Forum of Residents Welfare Organizations, insisted that there is a need to evolve an improved, workable, democratic administrative model for the city. Mr. Ajay Jagga, a renowned city-based advocate, stressed on the need to safeguard the movable and immovable heritage of the city, shared experiences from his personal involvement with the legal aspects of the issue. Corbusier rightly said, "The seed of Chandigarh is well sown. It is for the citizens to see that the tree flourishes." And I feel that this Thrive series of webinar is a small initiative in this direction. Friends, it is an attempt to create a platform from where a new beginning can be envisioned. For the first time, the views of the government, advocate, engineer, architect, residents, all the stakeholders are being shared on a common platform to devise means for the betterment of this city. It should be looked as a collective effort to eliminate the elements of subjectivity and ensure orderly growth of Chandigarh, the city beautiful. Thank you very much. That was the sum up for the today's series.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Architect Ramneek Gharyal to present vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. So good evening, everybody. It is my immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks for the contribution of each and everyone for having made this webinar a memorable event. And I would also like to we would like to express deep gratitude to ACT Chandigarh Sakar Foundation for giving this opportunity to meet and exchange knowledge. We are grateful to noted architect S.D. Sharma, Chandigarh, for sparing his valuable time. We would also like to convey thanks to our speakers, Mr. Jagdish Sagar, former advisor to Chandigarh Administrator, Mr. R. Srinivas, MOHUA, New Delhi, Mr. Ajay Jagga, Advocate, Chandigarh, and Mr. Vinod Vashisht, Convener, City Forum of Residents Welfare Organization. So special thanks to Dr. Hemeen Bhandari, Deputy Dean, Research and Publication from Chitkara University, School of Planning and Architecture, Chitkara University, Punjab, for offering concluding remarks today. And in addition to that, we are grateful to academic and research institutions, Chitkara University, Punjab, NHP, CCA, Chandigarh, IPS Academy, Indore, Lovely Professional University, Jalandhar, RIMT University, Mandi Gobindgarh, CT Group of Institutions, Jalandhar, GNDEC, Ludhiana, University, Sadapur, Ambala, IKGPTU, Mohali, and CRRID, Chandigarh, for their wholehearted participation. We are grateful to our supporting organizations, Government of India, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, MOHUA, Embassy of Switzerland to India and Bhutan, and Consulate General of Switzerland in Mumbai, and Swissnex India, Consulate General of Switzerland in Bangalore, the Corbusier Foundation, Paris, Ultratech Cement, Indian Institute of Architects, IIA, FSAI, GEM, ASHRAE, Chandigarh and Punjab chapters, and our special thanks are due to all of you for spending your 2 hours for our sake. Thank you very much indeed, all of you, and our deep gratitude is due to all the media personalities for their wholehearted support for this program. So thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Once again, we are grateful to our supporting organization and all the attendees. We request you all to kindly join us on 22nd April, same time, for the third and concluding session in the present series of Process of Chandigarh. The theme of the session is public participation, as explained by Mr. Baga. Meanwhile, stay connected with us on social media page of Facebook for event videos, and remember to share your thoughts and ideas. Thank you. Thank you all. Hope you all have a remarkable day ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mansi.